What's up, everybody? How you doing? Lord PeteyTV here to tell you what our Mythic Pluses are and how to deal with them this week for week 2 of Season 3 of Dragonflight. As always, thank you so much for stopping in here. Hit that subscribe button so you can see every single week when we end up having another video come out. As I should tell you, this week's affixes are like no other. They are an enjoyable pair that I cannot wait to deal with, and I'm not saying that with any humor whatsoever. Next week is going to be Tyrannical, Entangling, Bursting. As always, Tyrannical means boss has more health and does more damage. Entangling means vines are going to appear underneath your feet, slowing through yourself, so you have to get out of that. And then the last thing is going to be your bursting, so non-boss enemies, when they die, they're going to explode and deal damage to the players. Now, this is going to be a great week for healers, said with no sarcasm whatsoever. So just to take a second to think about what we're going to be doing and how we got to look at this. We're going to talk about the dungeons real quick. Now, as you all know, there are 8 dungeons, and they're all pretty similar. Now, all right, let's talk about this. All right. We've had a week to play with the dungeons, so we can kind of talk about them now. And as always, these are going to be, you know, when we talk about dungeons, we're talking about stuff between the 18 and 22 range. Nothing too crazy going above that, but this is for things that you kind of need to know. So, Waycrest Manor, you know, that place, you know, you don't have much movement in there, so you're going to have some CC, so be careful of that. The bosses there, they do hit pretty hard this week, so you really need to pay attention when you're in there. The mobs are actually pretty easy to kill in comparison to this week, so I don't see that so much as an issue. I think you're going to have, the bosses are really going to be the hardest part of this week. The bursting itself, you know, the groups, if you can get a priest that can master spell, you're going to have a lot less problems than you normally would, so that's definitely something to think of there. All right, and then the next dungeon is going to be Blackrook Hold. Now, Blackrook Hold, for me, the problem in there is the trash is more of a problem than the bosses. Now, the way that I kind of think of that is because you have a lot of interrupts that are necessary, a lot of CCs that are needed. There's lots of different things that are going to be needed in there, and I think that having that knowledge, the CC itself, you know, and dealing with the regular mobs are going to be pretty good to deal with. As for the bosses and things like that, the bosses are going to be a little bit annoying to play with, but at the same time, they're a little bit more doable. So make sure you're taking care of those properly. Hopefully you'll be able to get into that, you know, 17, 18 range this week, seeing how those are. Throne of the Tides, I think the biggest problem is going to be the bosses there, more so than the ads. The ads are pretty easy. If you're pulling them pretty consistently, you can keep the groups low, and you can kind of just stroll through it. The place where you're going to have those problems are those bosses. For instance, that first boss, the amount of ads that are going to come in there, it's just very annoying to deal with, so you're going to have to try to take care of those and kind of go forward. So take that into, you know, your thoughts right there. So that's going to be a hard boss to deal with. The other ones aren't too bad, so just keep an eye and a thought on those. Everbloom, there is a lot of group ads. You're going to probably have to deal more so with the bursting than anything else in that place. After the bursting, it's going to be the bosses. So that's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. The bosses, I think you're going to have some high burst DPS guys to get through those. Now, Dark Heart Thicket. Now, if you've done Dark Heart Thicket this week, it's going to definitely feel like it is a huge damage issue with seeing some stuff. For instance, Dark Heart Thicket, I feel that the trash is just really, really hard. And once again, it might be because we're working on a fortified week, but for itself, you know, we can kind of push through that. Once you can push through that when you get to the bosses, I don't think it's going to be too bad. The biggest problem, I think, might be the first boss, because the first boss does have a couple of really, really hard-hitting abilities. The second boss is, you know, you're gonna have to deal with all those ads, and it's just gonna be a lot of HP on them. So I don't think that's gonna be too bad. The other two are gonna be easy, as long as you can stick to the DPS, not pull extra ads in the third boss and the last boss. You know, just gotta kind of just stroll through. You're gonna be fine. Toltazar, probably the dungeon I have the most time in out of all of these. I think that when it comes to Toltazar, the packs you're going to be pulling are going to be groups of 5. I think that it's going to be very easy, very fluid. You're not going to have any problems with bursting there. You're going to have a couple of like hard mobs to deal with, but I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I think the biggest issue is going to be the boss with the what's it called, with the totems, and then the last boss in the dungeon with the spiders. Those two bosses are going to be your hardest ones to deal with, because it's just timing and just DPS check. Like, you need to be able to burn those guys down as fast as possible. That's what you're going to be your issue. Okay, so and then we have Dawn of Infinite, and then we have the Rise and Fall. So the biggest issue for this place in general is going to be the bosses are just very, very hard. They're going to feel like they're going to take forever. The trash is going to be very easy to kind of blow through, specifically this week, but the bosses are going to be way harder than you expect them to be, because they are just naturally hard bosses. So I think that's going to be a real hard thing to deal with, and we'll see how things end up, you know, in the next upcoming, you know, week. But I think Fall and Rise, where you're going to be hurting the most, bosses. So, as always, you know, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. My name is Lord PeteyTV. I'm on Twitch 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Stop on in, hit subscribe here on Twitch. On YouTube. If you're going to support the channel, you can always subscribe on Twitch. You can also, you know, support us with the merch store and things like that. We have viewer rates every Friday and so on and so forth. So I appreciate you all. Dream big, keep gaming. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Have a great holiday weekend. If you are, you know, if you are not working, and I hope to see you all in chat. All right, love you. Bye, everybody. Thanks again. Have a good one.